Hi everyone and welcome to Niamh's art journaling channel. So tonight I'm doing a little bit of a vlog type video for you because I spent last night cleaning up my work area because it was a tip. For those of you who follow Dina Wakely, she is really my spirit animal, apart from the fact she's addicted to Diet Coke like I am as well. She also just creates and leaves mess where it is. So I will include at the end of this video the before so you can see how far we have come. Don't have a stroke. Most of you will actually probably look at what I've got at the moment and think, oh my god, it's so cluttered, but it works for me. And I did post it on Instagram and some people said it's really nice to see a studio that's actually one someone works in rather than, you know, the pristine one in a video or a magazine. So this is definitely a working studio. It definitely is, while it's messy as well. But not having craft lunches around you is a good thing. So I'm going to switch the camera around in a moment and take you through my studio, explain a bit about the supplies I've got here, show you where everything sort of lives. For those who I have done something like this in the past, and one of the questions I've got was, do you know what's in every single drawer? And I actually do. So you can quiz me on that. There are also still some random surprises in there occasionally, but I do have a pretty good idea of where everything is. Might not necessarily be organized in the way that you would expect it to be, but the way I've found I work is I've got everything around me in a sort of L shape, so I can grab all my favorite stuff straight off the top of the pile. The drawers that I've got further down are for stuff I don't use very often or for bigger stuff that's a little bit bulkier to store. So without further ado, welcome to my studio. So this is the space where I work. I do apologise because I am actually having to hold my camera, so it might be a little bit wobbly. I'm very sorry about that. So this is the area where I film. You can see my ring light there and my camera above. I've got my iPad there. I tend to watch stuff while I'm doing my artwork, just to have something on the background. Above my desk I've got this wall of inspiration, which is some of my artwork that I love. Some beautiful pieces that have been sent to me. There's a piece by Kerry O'Toole, by Megan Wisner-Quinlan, by Scrappy Girl, and then I've got my dolls up the top, and of course a piece by Dina Wakely over there as well. So I've got some other bits and pieces I've done across on the wall too. So that's sort of my inspiration wall. When I come down to my desk, you can see I've got an awful lot of pens in front of me, and the most common things are my Posca paint pens. So they're right smack dab in the middle. I've got my archival inks and my re-inkers. I've got some thinner pens at the top and some pencils. I do have some alcohol markers here. I don't use them very often, I have to say, but occasionally when I need a colour that will go over the top of something, I will grab them. I've got my Stabilo Woodies over here. In this little pile I've got my collage tissues and my greaseproof paper, which I use to stamp on. Sorry, I should go slower. I forget that I'm doing this like this. On top of my stand, for those of you who are wondering, my camera is mounted on an Archon mount. I can't spell it. I'll put it in the links. Sorry. It is an American company, but it's fantastic. It's actually designed for hobbyists, and the base is really heavy, so you don't have that tilting thing happening. So I've got some washies, mostly black and white, because I find that gives me the biggest contrast. Alcohol spray, because that removes everything from my glass mat. Over on this side, I've got my acrylic inks and glues. I've got the layer cakes and some neon watercolors by Marlene. Down here, this is kind of new. I know you have been noticing that I've been sort of pulling stencils out from here. I've put my sort of A5 6x6 stencils in here because they're ones I tend to grab a lot, and it's just convenient. I'll show you where I store my other stencils afterwards, but that's just really handy. I've also got a ruler and a cutting mat there. Just go over here. Please note, sorry, there's my little glue container, the amount of splatter on everything. It really doesn't bother me, but I'm sure it would bother some of you. So, you know, splatter guides are good. Over on this side of the desk, I've got some paper towel. All my Dina paints. I have my Dina paints closest to me because the ones I go to most. I really love the texture, the opacity, the way they work, the colour range. The colours just really suit me, so they're my go-to paints. Because they are heavy bodied, you really don't use a lot. I know some people have asked, you know, why I use these, and you know, they're not necessarily economic, but they really are. Like, I've got a lot of those paints and I've had them for a long time, and you know, you can use every last drop out of them. And to be honest, I'm only putting out a tiny little bit of paint each time I use it, but it goes an awful long way. I've got my gel medium and gesso there, and then I've got 4 water containers here from Bunnings. If you're in Australia, they're really handy. They get dirty very quickly and probably don't get changed as regularly as they need to. In here I've got a whole heap of black and white pens, both small and big, just because I use them so much. Up in this little container, it's usually the top drawer I use, which is where I've got all my collage quote trips, sorry, and underneath I've got my paper dolls. Oops. On top I've got my sponges for sponging, and then I've got all my double-sided tape behind it, and obviously this is my baby wipes. Can't remember the name of them. So just swinging over here, this bit's still a work in progress. Behind here are sort of all my my collage collective, any working journals. There's some art books in here too. These are all my working journals. There's just a few of them. So again, they're really close to where I'm working. In this tin, this is a new addition. This is one of the gel plate tins, and I've actually stored my Dina Wakley tissues in here. So I've just got a few of them, just a few. I'll show you where I used to store them, but I just found they used to get dented and bent a lot, or caught in things, so I decided to go for that. My big journal is here too. Now, I was a scrapbooker card maker in my previous life, so I have still got scrapbooking and card making stuff up here, but that doesn't get used very rare. It gets used fairly rarely. Down right next to me are all my paintbrushes and my neons. I've got my paper artsy paints in here, some doubles of Dina Wakley paints, just when my favourite colours run out. Some of the new shimmer paints, can't quite fit them in. All my gloss sprays are here too, and obviously some extra gel medium because I go through it quite a lot. I've put all my favourite washies in one of these tubs. These are from IKEA. Watercolours that I use regularly, and again my favourite Posca paint pens. So these are where my blacks and whites and the go-to colours come from mostly. Over on this tray I've got colour pencils, some additional paints, my Stabilo All pencils, which are very handy, and just some extra paints and mediums, and a toy for my children that I've left it there when I was cleaning up. And then over here are just some additional paint things, so you can see the toys my kids have brought in here today as they're doing stuff. On the front here I've got my scissors, my acrylic blocks, and my brayers, which again are really handy. And then as I go down here I've got just some additional mediums, my water soluble scribble sticks and so on. And down the bottom is my collage, which looks very messy, but it is actually now organised. So I've got some collage fodder in this tray that I can just pull out and put on my desk. I've got my vintage text that I can use in here. Then I've got a whole heap of gel prints and tissues and so on. Right down the bottom I've actually got some magazines that I use to cut up, and then under here I've got my gel plates as well. So everything's kind of in reach when I need it. because I ran out of room, I've got another journal sitting down here. This is how I store my stencils. It was sitting under my desk. I've just put it beside my desk now. This is A4, not an A4, scrapbooking paper organizer, and it's been really good for my big stencils. I sometimes struggle with my Stencil Girl stencils because they are sort of wordy and loopy, so I am thinking about how I can better store those, but I just don't have the space to sort of hang them up, which is much more as I'd like to do that. It's just not going to happen. That's quite neat and compact, and it will sit in there. I store most of my stencils by brand, so I've got all the Crafters Workshop ones, I've got all my Stencil Girl ones, I've got all my Darkroom Door ones, and then I've sort of got miscellaneous like faces and so on. In this little box I've got, all my collage sheets, magazine collage bits and pieces I cut out too. So everything belongs in there. Then I have got some vintage books down here that I can use. And in this bag I've got a whole heap. These are all printables from Little Raven Ink, mostly. Some of my stuff in there too, and you know, I go through, they're all printed onto sticker paper so I can cut them out as I go along. Sorry, I'm trying to hold with one hand and have a sore hand trying to put something back, which is not great. This is still, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind, but it's where I keep my paper trimmer. And down here I've just got some white card that I use to stamp on and so on. I've also got a random spray bottle down here too. So while I'm down on the floor, I'll turn around this way, start from the bottom down here. So these are the things I don't use as often, on my right hand side, which is a load of washi tapes, and I've got my foam stamps down here and any hand carved stamps. Up on this top layer are inks and sprays, which again I don't use very often, but you know, occasionally they get pulled out. This is a bit of a rearrangement too. I've got some Darkroom Door rubber stamps down here, and then I've got all my stickers and back chat and those sorts of things that I use for quotes on my pages. So I'm not sure about having those there, but it should work okay. I used to have them on the top row, but I've run out of room because I've got lots of stamps, which I will show you. So go up here. These are all my stamps. Well, they're actually not all my stamps. They're just the stamps I use regularly. And you know, those are all Dina stamps, and then those are all Dina stamps. So pick a brand I like. Then I've got some of my favourite stamps, the mark making stamps from Tim Holtz, some of his grunge stamps, same mark making, and word stamps, background stamps. So they're all sorts of things I can use my journals really easily. This is just an odd assortment of background stamps. So some big ones from Darkroom Door. They're just sort of like little text stamps and so on. There's ones that I can just put into the background of something and make a pretty background. The final place, which I don't really have a place to sit at the moment, so it's just sitting up here, are some of the big quote stamps from Darkroom Doors. It's just in a little flippy box that I can have there. I've got to show you what's in the other side. Sorry, I'm just turning around again. Sorry. Please don't get seasick on me. Oops. So just kicking a top out of the way. So down here I have got some spare Dina paints. What I do is if I come across these tubes, I buy them because they're not actually made in this size anymore. So you can sometimes get them on special. Be aware though, these haven't been made for at least 2+ years, so the paint in here is getting old. And paint does go off. But what I do is pull the top off my little bottles and fill them up with these, just to top them up, because I actually find the little bottles easier to use and store. So in here I've got some more stamps that don't get used very often, but they're sort of down here. Down the bottom are some of my original wood-mounted stamps, and some more collage bits and pieces. Over in this drawer behind, again, I don't get into very often. This is a drawer that my dad and I made, and that's where I keep all my wood-mounted stamps that I still have. So if you've still got wood-mounted stamps, they're quite valuable. So there you go. I have it next to my desk. Again, more paper towel, Diet Coke for later. Again, I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I just had this tin and I put in some of my favourite mark making stamps. Again, they're right next to me and I can just sort of go through and pull them out. So you'll see some of my favourites there that I use quite often. Don't know if that will work, but for the moment, that's where it is. Up the top here, I've got all my Dina stencils because again, they're the ones I go to most often. They're the ones I use. So I've got them all in here and all the masks. Underneath, this is where I used to store all my tissues and you can see this sort of bent and so on. I am considering moving my stencils from beside my desk into here instead. That's a work in progress. And I need to clean out these drawers because I don't get to them very often and I could probably use them more effectively. So there's bits of chipboard and collage stuff. I used to be very into making assemblage art, so using lots of 3D stuff to make boxes and so on. I don't do that very often anymore, but I still enjoy it. So you can sort of see I've got very eclectic, just bits and pieces that, you know, one day I'll use in something. So I've sort of got metal, fabric, shiny, ribbons, and then ephemera, doilies, all those sorts of things. Over here, I'm quite proud of this because these are all my completed journals, which is actually really nice to see them all in a row. And I used to have them tucked away in a box, but I really like them out because I can go back through them and flip through them to get inspiration or just to see what's been going on, see how I've changed in my styles and so on. So that's really good. I've got a stamp thingy here, which I don't use very often at all. As you know, most of you, I stamp without having a block anyway, so yeah, doesn't happen very often. And I've got a ink machine, which again, I use it more as a laminator than a foiling machine, but occasionally I do foil stuff, so that happens. So these drawers here are, again, if you're in Australia, from Bunnings. They're actually if you want to create your own wardrobes. So you can get these inserts, which are really good because they're quite wide, they're quite flat, and they fit a lot. So this top layer is all my embossing powders and embossing inks, all my ink pads and blending tools, alcohol inks, more sort of eclectic inky type things that didn't fit in the first drawer. Then I've got some just more cardboard and collagey pieces, bits of scrapbook papers, envelopes and so on. Same with this drawer, old tags that I haven't used. Sorry, that was a project I did on Resist Ink. And then down the bottom, it does have cardboard in the top. There's actually my acrylic paints down here. So again, ones that I don't use very often. And to be honest, I need to go through that drawer because a lot of those paints are actually quite old and have probably gone off by now. So in here I've got a whole heap of pens and Copic markers and so on, glue sticks, stickers. So these are mostly alphabet stickers and chips. Same with this one, got lots of alphabets. This is a bit of a mixed bag of drawer, just, you know, again, little bottles, piece of glass, gravel letters, things that I can use. Oops. Laces, stuff I use for making dolls. All my bits and pieces in there. And then down the bottom, surprise, surprise, more stamps, because I just don't have enough stamps. Yes, I know I've got a lot. I haven't shown you the big tub of unmounted stamps I've got, but you know, I have been doing this for going on 25 years now, so I've been collecting them for a while. Stamping was my passion, that's what I used to do. So this is my jewellery making tool kits, some of the foils for the ink machines in here. Oops, here's laminating packets, which I can't get in. You're going to prove me wrong, aren't you? Okay, and here are my big collage bins. So, you know, it's my favourite ever vintage book. You can see it's been well used and well loved. It's a German one. It's just got beautiful paper. It just crumbles beautifully. So collage tissues. This is from a Van Gogh calendar I had that I've cut up. An old sale agreement I got from estate sale. So in Ireland, got beautiful, text and so on in here that you can sort of use as collage. Magazines go in here as well. Same with down below, same sort of thing. So lots of magazines, colour copies, old artwork, old scrapbooking paper that I designed that was printed a long time ago. Don't have any copies of it anymore, which is unfortunate. And again, down here, more magazines, old art journal from TAFE. There's all my artist statement stuff and all my bits and pieces. Funny what you find, isn't it? And some alphabet stamps, because you can't have enough stamps. The final drawers are, these are my printmaking drawers. So I used to do liner prints and screen printing, so that's where I keep all this stuff, all my tools to do that. Some alcohol inks down here, some threads and so on, so just all my printmaking stuff. Here's a very small scrapbooking drawer, because you know, when my daughter was born, I did scrapbook before, and I always thought, oh, when I have kids, you know, I'll be able to scrapbook. And then I had actually kids and I didn't. You know, before I was actually having to borrow pictures of kids to scrapbook, and now I've got my own. I just don't do it, so that's terrible. So I've got photos in here and bits and pieces. The final drawer at the top is a messy drawer, but that's the kids' drawer. That's their little craft go-to place. So they've got paints and their own gel plate in there as well. So yeah, so now we've got room. So that's sort of, as you walk into the room, this is what you see. So that's our white little space. So thank you to all of you who have stuck around for this very long video. I hope you found something in there that's useful to you, or just can delight in the fact that your room doesn't look like my room. As you can see from the background, I am in a garage, so I don't have any natural light in here, but I actually craft at night when the kids are asleep, and the ring light is good natural light to work with. So because someone asked me the other day, did I have any natural light in here? So the answer is no. Hopefully one day we might, you know, put double doors or something down the back, but that's what it is. We do have ducted heating now, so I don't have to freeze in here in winter, which is a huge step forward. For those of you who've been asking about my arm, it's going. I'm going back to work on Wednesday for 2 days before we go on holidays to break up for the Easter break, but it'll be a good way to ease myself in and see how I'm going. Still gets a bit sore and achy at night, but it's a long way from where it was. I can actually wave, I can actually rotate it, which I couldn't even imagine doing a week and a half ago. So all good things going forward. So thank you very, very much for watching, and until next time, bye for now.